Hello guys, Leah C here. Today I'm here with Pie Guy Rules, and we're going to be talking about the episode Maid of Honor. We talked about yesterday's episode, The Question, over on his channel, so make sure to check that out so that you get the entire discussion of all of this arc's episodes.
Yep.
Okay, so we had a lot happen in today's episode. It wasn't automatically what I thought it was going to be, going right into the wedding, so it seems like Pie Guy was right, and we got Bismuth back, which I thought was really interesting.
Yep. And I should say, I had actually forgotten I saw this, but even though I didn't see any leaks, I did see that the DVD for this arc had Bismuth the episode on there, so it was pretty much, it was a given that at least she'd be mentioned. No one was sure if she'd appear in this episode or the next episode or like what exactly was going on. So I just wanted to say, even though I kind of predicted it, it wasn't like an out of the blue prediction, but
Yeah.
very happy that it did happen. I mean, well, I don't know. How do you feel about this episode?
I mean, I'm kind of iffy on it. I like the themes and stuff like that were brought up in it, but it went too quickly. I like how Sapphire was upset in the beginning that they couldn't have most of their friends and most of their comrades at the wedding because they had all been, either destroyed or corrupted in the war, and I think that that's kind of heart-wrenching in a way, and I think it was nice that they brought that up. And I like how Steven automatically thought to bring back Bismuth, and I'm glad that she wasn't completely 100% forgotten, at least by the characters. So I liked that, but, a little bit too quick.
Yeah. Like I don't know. It's hard to say how I feel about this episode because like what actually happens in it, I do think is nice and interesting. And you're right, it does bring up some really interesting points. And it is kind of like one of those, we've been talking about this earlier in the week and just even off recording about how like Steven is now pretty much the leader. He and like Steven, this is the first time Steven kind of got that confirmed for him. Like no one's told him that up to this point, but even though we've seen it, it's cool to have Bismuth be like, Garnet's not here. You are the leader. Um, but
No, you go
but
ahead.
just like it happens so the whole episode happens so briefly. Steven does things that I think are like dangerous and stupid, and he really like it. I don't know. He kind of took a dip in like I don't know, emotional awareness. Like he's kind of back to Steven that's just like, I'm gonna unbubble Bismuth and we're all gonna be friends and we're gonna surprise the Crystal Gems and they're all just gonna be happy to see her, which is just like I think it's a sweet idea, but maybe you want to bring like at least Amethyst with you just in case something bad happens. Like maybe a surprise isn't the best idea for this.
That's interesting too that you brought that up, because he could bring Amethyst with him, especially since Amethyst had no connection with Bismuth besides the one time that she met her. So, like, he'd still surprise Pearl, Amethyst, and Pearl, Ruby, and Sapphire. You could just bring Amethyst with you. So I'm surprised he didn't do that, especially since he's usually involving her in everything.
Bring Amethyst, bring Peridot. Neither of those characters have too much like and naturally they'd be more protective of him because they don't have any personal connection to Bismuth. They just know, or at least Amethyst knows what happened. I don't know. I just feel like I think because of how short the episode, like because of how much they have to put into a short time period, they couldn't do that. It just had to be Steven goes down to the temple. We don't even see him go down. He's just there, and then he unpoos or he unbubbles Bismuth, and then like the show just kind of has to go through a lot of motions very fast in order to reach the conclusion it wants to get to by the end of the episode. And I feel like in doing so, it has to make Steven a little bit more reckless and stupid and like, oh boy, everyone's gonna be my friend. And it's just like I feel like we've seen Steven be more mature than that and better than that, and that's a part of his growth. And to see it kind of reverted for the sake of just got to move the story along is little disappointing. I don't think him bringing Bismuth back is a bad idea in and of itself, or like trying to reason with her. I just think going by himself to the person who the last time he talked to her, she was literally trying to kill him, was probably just not a responsible decision.
No, it wasn't, and it's funny too because they have a missed opportunity. Bismuth is a type of metal. You mean to tell me he couldn't take Peridot with him? Like, because Peridot has metal bending powers. I don't know if it has the same possibility, but missed opportunity there first off, and like especially for also character development for Peridot because we haven't seen her in such a long time. So they just had a lot of missed opportunities, but I do really think that what you were saying before, it's just too short of an episode and too much needs to be crammed in, and I think it's one of these cases where Steven Universe proves yet again that it shouldn't be on a 10-minute show block. it should be longer, because it's messing it up, because they're, like you said, they cut to him in the bubble room. It didn't even show him going to the temple. He was being more reckless than what we would normally see him doing at this point, because he has matured and he's just kind of backtracked at this point. So I don't know, it's hard to say. I just think that it's definitely, the showtime is limiting it a lot in this respect. So
like, another thing this episode has to take a shortcut on is, so because we see Bismuth and Steven have this discussion about, they're not going to want to see me because I attacked you and I attacked their leader and you blah, 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 blah. And Steven's like, no, they're going to want to see you because I say so. But yet when Bismuth actually shows up, the gems don't even seem concerned about Steven's well-being. Like, sure, Steven shows up with her, so it's likely he's not under attack, but they just openly embrace Bismuth without any question. It's like, guys, if you were just ready to see Bismuth and so happy to see her, why didn't you unbubble her in the first place? But because the show kind of went by this logic that Steven accepted her, we didn't, like, the show thought we didn't need to see a scene of the characters being wary of her at first, and then Steven having to explain it again because it would have been redundant. But from a story perspective, it doesn't make any sense. It makes the gems seem kind of like careless.
It really does. And I know we were talking about this before the recording, but what it would have been better is if they did, like, either a no speaking thing and then implied that they had, like, a little bit of a problem with her coming back just because, you know, the last time she literally tried killing Steven, or if it cut off with them right after they dropped the drinks and then they picked it up and reunited, which I think would have been the better way to go, because at least they would have been a little bit apprehensive. And if it was a break in between episodes, then maybe they were a little not okay with it beforehand, and then they could imply that and not automatically imply that, listen, the gems are 100% okay with this, even though she literally tried killing who they see as their son. So it's like, you know, I don't...
And
It's okay, you could go.
And it's just, it's stupid. It's silly from a story perspective too, because like part of this episode is showing that Steven is the leader or whatever, and so it would have basically put into practice what we see through, like in the middle of this episode at the end, if the gems didn't trust Bismuth and Steven was like asserted himself as their leader, as someone they trust and respect, and convinced them to like Bismuth. That would have been like a payoff to what happens in the episode, but we don't get that. The payoff is that Steven convinces Bismuth to go back. There's no further conflict beyond that. It's just everyone's rosy after that, and it just cheapens like a more complex dilemma that they introduced with Bismuth and then just ignored until now, and now we're back and
It's just upsetting too, because I know a lot of us have been waiting for this moral conflict, and a lot of us have been waiting for the return of Bismuth since she disappeared like a long time ago. And it kind of, I think the track that they were on, it was setting it up for something amazing. It was setting it up for something great, but it was just the fact that they only put it in one episode. It should have been another 22-minute special at least, where it went through it, and then maybe like went through the whole conflict with Steven and Bismuth, you know, like him taking the place as the leader, and then going into convincing the gems that, okay, well, Bismuth is safe and to be around, and she's fine, and she's not going to try killing or hurting Steven again. And it's just sad, because I feel like it would have been so much better if they focused on other things and they didn't just gloss over all of these morally complex issues that they were setting up for this the entire time.
I mean, Steven revealed that he's Pink Diamond to her, which also is incredibly irresponsible to do with no one else around. Seeing as like not only did she try to kill Steven, but she's tried to kill Rose and Pink Diamond, or she attacked Rose. Like it's like, Steven, like, Bismuth wants you dead on like 3 different ways. Like,
Exactly.
It's just a little. They had to rush the reveal too. And mind you, the episode also has like cute wedding planning stuff in it too, which is like, that's adorable. But like, guys, you're trying to put so much stuff in the episode that maybe you don't have enough time to do that. Maybe save that for next episode. Maybe save that. You know, we did get cutesy wedding stuff in the previous episode towards the very end. Like, maybe just a little bit of that and then go. Like, instead of trying to do that in the backdrop. Like, I don't know. I liked it, but it's if you're trying, you're so rushed for time to tell like the actual story and to further this like moral dilemma. I don't know. If anything could be cut, I think that could be trimmed from the episode.
At least a little bit, yeah. As much as I did love the wedding scenes, and those were the scenes that made me laugh really hard, especially the part with Pearl and then Peridot planning out the chairs and everything. And I loved those scenes. I really did. But at the same time, when we have this huge moral message that they're trying to get across, and this show is in love with moral messages. That's like its main one of its main things. And I get that they really wanted to show off the wedding stuff, but the thing is Reunited is also going to be about the wedding. So I feel like they could have, like you said, trimmed at least some of this stuff out and focused a little bit more on Bismuth. I think that the beginning part with with Sapphire talking about how she was upset, I think that was needed to lead to Bismuth, but like past that, focus like on Bismuth, because it's just, I get what they were going for. But they needed more time, and they really could have put this other wedding stuff in Reunited, unless Reunited is also going to be rushed, which is also very possible. I'm hoping that it's not going to be, but it's very possible that it might be.
Well, I mean, I do agree that having this episode be 22 minutes, honestly, this one and the next one could have been 22 minutes but anyway, I mean, did you really need all like Gemcation and anyway, I'll stop talking about that. But no, I agree. It could have been 22 minutes, or another simple solution is have an episode at some point in season 4 or 5 in the kind of like almost aimless directions of both of these seasons. Have another episode where Bismuth is brought up. She doesn't have to be brought back, but brought up. She appears in Mindful Education, so we know that Steven is thinking about her and feels guilty over it. But we needed an episode for this episode to work. We needed an episode where the Gems consciously decide to not release Bismuth, because we don't know why they didn't free her to at least talk to her. We don't know. The assumption is they didn't want to let her out because they were afraid she'd hurt Steven. But if that's the assumption, then why did they have the reaction they did? It's just like if they had one more episode in there where the Gems specifically say why they can't let her out or why they don't want to, because we can assume all we want, but this story doesn't really make much sense without that piece. I don't think.
No, I definitely agree with you, and I feel like it would have seemed like a much more seamless transition from going, oh, Bismuth tried killing Steven, and then looking wistfully at the bubble as it floats up into the bubble room, and then automatically going to this, and then cut to them hugging and being happy. Like, I guess I can understand that they're happy to some degree, but at the same time, like, they care about Steven a whole lot more than Bismuth. Like, I mean, that's obvious, I'm pretty sure, but it's
And it's like, okay, so sure, she showed up with Steven, but like, we know Steven is trusting to a fault. I mean, technically, okay, I guess we should preface this by just saying, technically, some of our problems could be alleviated in the next episode. If it turns out that Bismuth does try to kill Steven or something, maybe that's just like where this is going, and maybe it is a story about how foolhardy the Gems are. I don't think that's where this story is going, but I just wanted to throw that out there, that these criticisms we have could theoretically be fixed in a future episode. I just don't think so, because there's other stuff we know is going to happen in the next episode, like the wedding and the ships coming down.
I feel like a lot of it is going to be the ships coming down, and that's why I'm afraid it's going to be rushed. So I feel like this whole... I feel like Bismuth has another arc coming, but I feel like this first arc is over. And I really don't want to say that, because there's so much more that they could explore with it. And Bismuth is such an interesting character, and I just feel like for it to be over, all of her conflict to be over in one episode, like I like the reason why she was brought back. I think it was sweet, and I think it was the perfect time to bring her back. But at the same time, like, they needed to cover it a whole lot more than before just jumping in like, oh, hey, we're 100% okay with this now, type of a thing. Or what could have been better, too, is if Steven didn't introduce her in this episode and he tried to get a feel of how the Gems would feel if Bismuth was coming to the wedding before actually revealing her. Like, that could have been another way that they could have done it. And then had her come in right before the Diamond invasion happened. And then they don't have time to reunite with each other because they have to fight the Diamonds off. That would have been better.
Yeah, and it's just like, I mean, the thing is that Bismuth did try to kill Steven. Like, we can discuss kind of like the reasons behind why she thinks what she does, and it is an interesting topic to explore. But at the end of the day, she did still try to kill the main character of the show. And I'm not saying that she could never be redeemed, or you know, that she couldn't regret it, or that the reasoning behind it, like, obviously her mind can be changed, especially with new information, especially with, you know, the characters just talking to her. But it's just like, it just kind of sweeps over the fact that she did this really nasty thing, this horrible thing. And I don't know. I'm glad Bismuth at least felt guilty over it. I'm glad she cared, but why does she care and the other Gems don't?
Yeah, oh my gosh, they really should have went over that, because that's such a huge... it's such a huge hole, and it's a missed opportunity as well. Just for all of them, it's a missed opportunity for all of them. I really wish that they did cover it. It's so disappointing that they didn't, because I really thought that when Bismuth did come back, there was gonna be more of an issue with her coming back than just, oh, Bismuth's here, yay, we're happy she's here for the wedding, we're not gonna like reprimand her for trying to hurt Steven or something like that. You know, it's just completely water under the bridge.
Something that people kind of pointed out, and that I thought too about, like after the original Bismuth episode, is that they couldn't like try to make a jail for her, or like just some other way that they could talk to her and without her just, you know, being able to kill Steven. Like why is it either like poofed or not poofed? I understand she's a powerful gem, but they couldn't trap her like in the temple or just like somewhere where she couldn't cause harm, but they could talk to her to try to see like if what's going on. And I think maybe that would have made more sense too, if maybe that was Steven's plan, that he wanted to bring her back, but he wanted to talk to her first, because like, dude, you told her you're Pink Diamond. Like, she's powerful. She could release all the corrupted gems and just like
The thing is, too, is Steven didn't really know her all that well. He knew her for like a day or like 2 days, which is implied. So he doesn't really know how to gauge her reaction to that information.
Yep.
So it's just like, I don't know. I feel if they're trying to go on the whole theme about them moving on for Rose, I feel like the reason why maybe they kept her bubbled was because Rose decided she wanted her bubbled, and I know that that's kind of a stupid reason, but that's just kind of what I'm thinking since they're moving past the whole Rose thing. Maybe that's why they decided to keep her bubbled. I don't know.
Maybe, but that would have been a nice episode.
It would have been.
I guess just like, I mean, and it's tough because I do like things about this episode. Like, I don't think it's like a disaster in and of itself. I just think that it's just like, it's like a third piece to a 3-part story where we're missing the middle piece. You know, but no, I like bringing back one of the corrupted gems, the first time we've seen a corrupted gem in a while, and having it be confirmed that it is Biggs Jasper, which I think was heavily hinted at in other episodes. That's cool.
Oh yeah, I like how they confirmed it was Biggs Jasper. That was also a theory for the longest time since Bismuth came out. They're like, guys, look, this is Biggs Jasper. She talked about them. So, I mean, it's good that they kind of like indirectly involved more lore instead of just kind of pushing it off to the side. I mean, character development is good too, but I'm glad that they also included the lore in that. That was also really a neat detail.
And it added a little bit of action too. And it also, I mean, I don't, obviously, well, I shouldn't say obviously, but most likely the corrupted gem thing isn't going to get touched upon in the next episode because there's too many other things to deal with. But that is something that is just kind of an ongoing question mark, and the show hasn't really talked about that issue since, I don't know, the second episode with Centipedal. Like I mean, we've had corrupted gems since then, but they haven't really, I guess Kindergarten Kid kind of talked about the nature of them. But even still, that's a while ago.
Yeah, it didn't even bring up, like, trying to heal them either. Like, the first time they were trying to... Well, the latest time they were trying to fix anyone, like you said, was the second Centipedal episode. So it hasn't been brought up in a very long time. It's just kind of been like Malachite, and that it's been untouched for a very, very long time. And it's such an interesting concept, too, and I feel like they could be doing a little bit more with it. Because, like, in the beginning of the show, really all of the show was about was poofing and bubbling corrupted gems, and now it's kind of like we've moved away from that since Kindergarten Kid. So
yeah, but it was cool to see that. It was also cool to see. It's just, I don't know, when you break it down, it's just kind of insane how much information Bismuth, like, considering the first time she comes back, she is super disoriented, and then this time she comes back, Steven tells her that he's Pink Diamond. He was Pink Diamond. These gems that were her comrades are now corrupted, and Ruby and Sapphire have split up, but now they're gonna get married. Like, he tells her all this information, and she processes it just remarkably well.
She does. I was surprised. I thought, like, she was gonna react differently. I did think it was funny how she put her head in the lava to scream, though. That I thought was a really funny and cool touch that they did, because they've always involved her with lava, and then it was like, oh my gosh, she's gonna go put her head in the lava pool. That was really funny.
Maybe that's where she's gonna live.
In the lava pool, yeah, just in the bubble room. She just casually just sits in there. Yeah. Pearl has her water room. Bismuth has her lava room.
So another nice thing about this episode, I think that this episode probably had the most characters with speaking roles in forever. Like Steven, Ruby, Sapphire, Pearl, Amethyst, Peridot, and Bismuth. That's like 7 characters that all get lines. That's a lot for Steven Universe.
It is, yeah, especially since usually it seems like they've only been involving like 2 or 3 characters consistently per episode. So now we finally get a lot of these characters back and interacting again, which is nice to see, especially since we haven't seen really the chemistry between Peridot and the rest of the gems. So I'm glad that we finally get to see what, you know, ordinary life is like for them on a regular basis, because we know she's not staying in the bathroom 24/7.
Yeah.
She's out and about, so now we kind of understand like how she interacts with the gems, which was nice to see.
I guess this does confirm, though, that we probably aren't going to get a reaction from Peridot about the whole thing. Steven being Pink Diamond.
Yeah, we probably won't. I mean, she might. I mean, she definitely heard. She was in the house. She definitely knows. If
Well,
not, Amethyst has talked to her.
If Steven's telling Bismuth, then it's not a secret. Like,
No. It's just something that he's just kind of casual about at this point, so it's implied that everybody who is close to him knows about it.
oh, now I want to know what Lapis would think. Oh, no.
Oh no. Oh no. What would she think? Here's the thing, would this complicate her relationship with Steven since he's technically a diamond?
I feel like it might make her like overly codependent on him. Like, okay, well, Steven is no longer just like, you know, the one person that can make me happy, seemingly, but he's also the only person that can really defend me against the diamonds. Like, I don't know, maybe that'll give her the courage she needs, because technically Steven should be almost as powerful as the diamonds, at least when fully realized.
Technically, and that it might make sense too, like you said, she might become dependent on him because she's the only one who can defend them. I mean, well, he's the only one who can defend all of them, so it's gonna be like, I don't know. Maybe she'll have that type of reaction. I mean, adversely, she could also have the reaction where she still doesn't trust any of the diamonds too, but I don't think at this point she's gonna ever start distrusting Steven, because he hasn't given her a reason to not trust him at this point.
What if she didn't believe it? That would be cool.
Ooh, she might not. They need to get some type of proof, and that's the thing too. What proof do they have that he is Pink Diamond other than Pearl's memories and Pearl's word of mouth? Keep in mind, Lapis doesn't trust Pearl. She doesn't trust any of the crystal gems. She only trusts Peridot and Steven, and that's it. So, like, what proof do they have?
If only we had a mirror that could tell us things that happened in the past.
Oh my gosh.
But all of this is moot, because, I mean, when are we going to see Lapis again? I don't know. Who knows? Maybe she'll be picked up by the handships. That would be cool.
Oh my gosh, maybe, but
like,
then I think there'd be too much if they did that.
And then also too many characters. Like, I mean, if Bismuth is now back, and I'm sure they'll find some way to write her, not necessarily off, but they'll find a barn of her own to stay in.
It's the lava pool. That's her new
barn. Yeah. Or I guess she could theoretically live where her cool forge was.
Oh, that's true.
But, like, you know, there'll be Bismuth, there'll be Peridot, there'll be Lapis. If she comes back, there'd be Lars, and then the off-colors that if they get home at some point. Like, there's just gonna be a lot of characters, and the show doesn't like a lot of characters, so I don't know.
This is why I'm worried for tomorrow's, because a lot of people have been bringing up the point, and this was also kind of one of my predictions, that Lars has a stolen ship, and it's known by Emerald that it's stolen, and the diamonds can't find Steven on Homeworld. So they're probably going to be under the impression that he's on the stolen ship headed towards Earth. So they might be following and tailgating Lars, and that's where we get Lars, the off-colors, and the diamonds.
See, that's what I was thinking too. I mean, it's weird that it's not brought up in the show. Like Steven thinks it's cool that Lars is fighting Emerald and like, oh, you're a space captain, but it's just like, realistically, this is really bad that he's going to be piloting the ship right to Earth. And
it is.
Garnet doesn't seem to be concerned about this. Instead, Garnet has a line in Your Mother and Mine where she talks about wanting to go to Homeworld and finish the fight or something, which is just the weirdest line because it makes sense, but never and anywhere else in the season is it talked about going back to Homeworld or helping Homeworld or doing anything.
No, it is really, really weird, and it's just, I feel like Garnet, especially since she can see the futures. I mean, she has been having problem with her future vision, granted, but this was after she was already feeling better. You would think that she would tell Lars not to come to Earth, because then she's just he's inviting the diamonds there is what he's doing.
Yeah.
He's leading them to the Earth, which is what they're trying to protect.
Like,
So,
I know.
They're not concerned about it either.
Because remember, we don't get a scene of Steven telling the gems about his space adventures, so we don't know like what they know, and it's annoying. And I mean, at least tell Lars to like, hey, make sure you're able to cloak or like, you know, shake Emerald before you get close to Earth. Like, that's all you need to say, really.
Yeah. You know, that they had a missed opportunity with that too, because I feel like we haven't seen enough of Lars and the Off Colors doing the stuff on the ship, and it's a missed opportunity. And they really could have had like a game plan on how to shake, not necessarily the diamonds, because I don't think that he might not know that the diamonds are following him. He might get there a little bit before they do, and he might be unaware that they were following him. But I mean, it's a logical thought process, really. Like, they know who Steven is, they know how important he is. You know that the diamonds are going to be after them. Like, it's just a logical thought process. But it would have been nice if they had an episode in between where Lars and the Off Colors were trying to come up with a game plan to lose sight of Emerald or whoever was following them before getting to Earth. So that way this wasn't something that was going to end up happening, because I feel like Garnet would have thought about it as a precautionary measure. You know what I mean?
Yep. Well, okay, so I do want to point something out about Maid of Honor, going back. Sapphire says something at the beginning of the episode when Ruby's like, all our friends will be here or something, and Sapphire says, the ones that are left. And there's like Ruby's like, what do you mean? And Sapphire kind of shakes her head and says like, oh, well, you know, our friends that got corrupted in the war. And this could entirely just be a single meaning thing where she just legitimately meant her friends from the war. And I think she did in part mean that, but I think she may have seen something about what's going to happen tomorrow that she doesn't necessarily want to bring up.
Oh, and then like on the bingo card, the Shattered Gem.
Yeah, like the ones that are,
boy.
you know, like everyone that's gonna come to the wedding, except whoever doesn't make it. Yeah.
Oh boy. I'm nervous now.
Oh, but if it's a shattering, I can tell you with 100% certainty it'd be Bismuth.
I don't think it's gonna be Bismuth. I think it's gonna be Peridot, if anybody. It's gonna be Peridot.
Really?
Yeah, it's either going to be Peridot or one of the Off Colors, because I don't think that they're going to kill off the main characters.
No. But, I mean, I don't know. I just feel like the show doesn't ever want to deal with Bismuth. I feel like they just want a very convenient way. Or like, I don't know, Lapis shows up. Guys, I'm not afraid of the diamonds anymore. I want to be friends with everyone. And the yellow diamond just evaporates her.
The final death of Lapis's character development, except at this time it's 100% literal. This time they don't give anybody the chance to get mad about it. They just kill her.
No. They shatter her and then they use her pieces to power many mirrors.
Oh, good lord. That would be the ultimate insult to the poor Lapis. Oh my gosh. That would be so awful.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I really don't know where they're going with this, but I'm really nervous. I don't think that they're going to shatter Bismuth, though. Because
okay.
I do think that just bringing her back, I don't know if they would necessarily do that. One, it would cause everyone to be very, very upset and most likely rage everywhere online if she was killed as soon as she was brought back. Mm-hmm. And two, I just don't think that. I think there's more that's going to have to do with her. And I think there's going to be more interesting arcs with her, too, because I don't think that her ideologies have completely changed or shifted. Like, I think how she thinks about Pink Diamond and Steven shifted a tiny bit, but I don't think that her thoughts are entirely different from what they originally were. So I think that hopefully they're going to be exploring more on that in the future.
I mean, I hope that, too, but just with how rushed they kind of put her in this episode, I don't know. I don't know that it's a topic they want to necessarily explore, but I don't know. I mean, it's also highly likely that no one gets shattered, or yeah, if it is, it's an off color, and like, I don't know, man. I mean, I like the off colors, but I wouldn't be mourning for Pat Paracha. I'm very sorry, Pat Paracha fans. She hasn't had a single line that isn't her predicting something that happened in the past. Like, I don't understand her character because Sapphire can predict things, but she can also have a personality and say other things that aren't predictions. But Pat Paracha, her quirk isn't just that she can see the past, it's that she can literally only speak in things that have happened. And that's weird. I don't like that. Sorry.
It's okay.
But actually, I really quick, I did want to kind of mention, we talked about things that like the crystal gems aren't necessarily prepared for the diamonds coming, and there are things that maybe they should have thought about or been prepared about. And I think a part of it is just season 5 is like a weirdly tunnel vision season where you have the first 4 episodes, which are off on homeworld, and then you have the next 5-ish episodes where they're all either based upon the Connie drama or their Lapis and Paradox drama or Sadie's drama. But like that's that. And then we have like 7 episodes that are all about like Lars, where it's Lars of the Stars, Jungle Moon, which relates to him, Letters to Lars, Your Mother and Mine, the other Sadie Killer episode. Like it's just kind of tunnel vision of that. And then we had the 2 Pink Diamond episodes, and then we had these 5 episodes, which are the Heart of the Crystal Gems arc. I don't know if it was Cartoon Network or what, but they seem to be really, really doubling down on wanting everything to fit in like a nice 5 episode or 6 episode like cycle. But what that means is that like we see Lars a lot in those 7 episodes. Like we see him in almost all of them, from Lars of the Stars to Letters to Lars. That's a mouthful, but we see him on all that, and then we haven't seen him since.
I feel like going off of that, it might be Cartoon Network's fault, because it seems like monetary wise, it's probably very good for them to air what they call quote unquote arcs and split it up into that over a week and in 5 episodes, because then they can have 1 episode every single day, and then people are actually tuning into the network. So maybe they're kind of like moderating it, like, hey, you guys need to have this arc, but you need to have it in this many episodes, and they all need to be this long, and only one of them could be a 20-minute special. I'm not quite sure how the production works, but it seems like it's a little bit too coincidental that it seems to be every single time an arc is 5 episodes instead of shorter or longer than that.
And it's not always exactly 5, but it is like this season, aside from Can't Go Back, A Single Pale Rose, and Lars of the Stars and Jungle Moon, all the other episodes were aired in a week, I believe. I could be missing one, but it's either a week or 2 episodes in a row. That seemed to be the entire plan. At no point in the season did we get weekly episodes.
No, and it seems like the Steven Universe airing schedule has been like this for such a long time, and it definitely seems like it's a format that works well for them, so they have like no reason to change it even if the show is somewhat suffering. I'm not sure if it's the writer's fault, if it's the network's fault. I'm not quite sure what's going on over there, but it does seem a bit too coincidental that most of the arcs, most of the time, fit into that nice 5-day schedule.
And I feel like, I mean, I don't know. It's just, at this point, it's like, the crew must know how Cartoon Network ends up airing this stuff. They must know how this sort of thing is. So, and in some ways, it does seem like they're planning around it. They are telling the stories they want to tell in these formats. But I just, like, it could still be done a lot better. And if they know how Cartoon Network is, they could still be a lot, like, just better about this, I think. I don't know.
No, I think that they could be better about it too, and they can learn to work around it. I mean, that is their job. I mean, yeah, it sucks that you're not able to do everything that you want to, but that's part of being a show writer, is you need to know how to manage your time, and the story always needs to come before everything else, because ultimately, the story is what you're telling through the cartoon, and you need to be able to conclude the story, and you need to have the story be somewhat, you need to have it easy to understand, not necessarily in the beginning or the middle, but by the end of the story, you want to be able to fit all the pieces together very easily, you know, just general wise. And it doesn't really seem like they're not 100% excellent with their time management skills when it comes to their episodes, at least in my opinion. So I don't know. I'm hoping that they're going to be better going forward, especially after this arc. I'm just not sure what's going on over there. So.
Yeah.
Trying to think. Did you have anything else specifically that you wanted to go over, or?
No, I mean, you mentioned Peridot. I just agree with you that Peridot is. I'm glad she showed up in the episode, and she has some funny lines, and she's cool, and that's all I needed in an episode that's not about her. So happy with that. Happy with Amethyst coming in, and you know, some of the stuff was cute, and I don't overtly like dislike the episode. It's just weirdly timed.
Weirdly timed and frustrating because missed opportunities. Yeah.
Yep. But that's all I got to say.
All right, I don't have anything to add either, I don't think. So tomorrow's episode, Reunited, is going to be discussed over on Pie Guy's channel, so make sure that you guys subscribe. I'll have links in the description and in the comments section so you guys can go over there just very easily. And tomorrow is the 22-minute special, so it's going to be a huge one. Anyways, hope you guys have a nice night, and I'll see you all guys tomorrow over on Pie Guy's channel.
Bye.
Bye.